Hi guys, what's up? It's your girl Charla from That Girl Cooks Healthy. Today we're going to make this beef and broccolini stir fry. It is a super lean, low carb stir fry that is delicious, grain free, and really simple to make. I cannot wait to show you guys how to make it, so let's get to it. So these are the ingredients that you're going to need. You're going to need some beef. So you want beef that is lean and it is in strips. Basically you want beef that is made for stir fry. So I'm using stir fried beef that is lean and strips. So make sure you're using the right type of beef. You can use beef that is diced, but I don't recommend that because it's not really made for stir fry. So you do want to go for the beef that it specifically says for stir fry. You're also going to need some bell peppers. Any color will do. I'm using yellow and red because I have that one in the house the most, so I'm using that one. You're also going to need some spiralized vegetable noodles. So these are made from zucchini or courgettes depending on where you are in the world. So you want that type of cut for the noodles because they are grain free and they're also low in carb as well. So this is why I'm using it specifically for this stir fry. You're also going to need some broccolini, which is also known as tender stem broccoli. So it's not the same as actual broccoli because these ones are longer, the stem is longer and they're more thin. They also tend to be slightly sweet and quite delicate in taste. So that is the difference between them and broccoli. You also need some browning as well. Some coconut oil because this recipe is going to require a high smoke point. I'm using coconut oil for the recipe. Some onions, garlic and ginger for the base ingredients, a small amount of water, some coconut aminos. This is just an alternative to soy or soya. That's the reason why I'm using it instead. Seasoning wise, you're just going to need some beef seasoning, some black pepper, parsley, pink salt. This is going to depend on how salty your beef seasoning is, so I tend to use a little bit more salt when I'm using my beef meat seasoning. So this is going to vary depending on what seasoning you're using for in terms of beef seasoning. Also you'll need some chili flakes as well, some tomato puree and some Chinese 5-spice. So I have my beef strips in a bowl, and what I'm going to do is season it with the beef seasoning, the black pepper, the parsley, the pink salt and the chili flakes. I'm going to use my hand, or you can use hands in this, whichever works for you, and I'm just going to rub that in to the beef, and then once I've done that I'm just going to put it to the side. So now I'm going to prepare the sauce. So I have the water in a small mixing bowl. Then I'm just going to add some browning sauce. I'm using my homemade browning sauce, which is why I use quite a bit. Then I'm going to add my coconut aminos. Then I'm going to add my Chinese 5-spice and tomato puree, and then I'm going to just mix it together and put it to the side. So now I'm going to preheat a large skillet or frying pan. If you have a wok, you can use a wok. I don't own a wok, so I'm just going to use my frying pan instead. Then I'm going to hover my hand over the pan to make sure it's nice and hot. Then I add my coconut oil and I'm going to just allow it to melt. So it's just going to take a few seconds or so until it completely melts. And once it completely melts, then we're just going to take our beef. I'm using tongs to do it when I do it. And then you just want to add it to your pan. You want to make sure that the pan is not overcrowded, so you may need to do this in batches. It does depend on the size of the pan that you're using. I managed to get all of my beef in the pan, and then when you do that, you just want to leave the beef just to sear on the first side. So you don't really want to do anything to it for about the first few minutes. You just want to leave it until it browns, and then I will come back and show you guys what to do next. So the first side of the beef has been cooking for a few minutes, so I'm just going to use my spatula just to turn it over, and then I'm going to use my tongs just to pretty much do the same thing as well. And the thing is with beef, everyone has their beef differently. I like to have my beef well done, and because I pretty much adhere to Caribbean customs of cleaning my meat does extract juice, and that is something that I cook off. So this step now is going to depend on the preference of your beef and also whether or not you wash it. I am pretty much a typical Caribbean person that I do wash my meat, and it does always seem to just give off extra juices. So what I do now is I just leave the beef to cook for a little bit longer, and then I start to just stir it as it starts to give off its own liquid. I just pretty much then go in and start to stir it, and then I cook off that liquid because that's going to lock in the flavor of the beef. So in terms of the next step now, you just want to cook it for as long as your preference is. If you've been following me and you are if you wash the meat, then you're going to find it's going to give off its own juices. So the beef is cooked to my preference now, so I'm just going to give it another quick stir, and I'm going to switch off my stove. And once I do that, I'm just going to get some tongs, and also I need a bowl, and I'm just going to remove the beef from my pan, and then I'm going to just set it to a side, and then I'm going to show you guys what to do next. So I wiped out the pan and I'm going to switch the stove back on to medium, and I'm going to move on to cooking the vegetables and the rest of the dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some coconut oil. Again, same thing, I'm going to allow it to melt. Then I'm going to add my onion, garlic and ginger, and I'm going to cook that until it is soft and translucent. So now that my onions are soft and translucent, I'm going to add my bell peppers, and then I'm going to add my broccolini, and I'm just going to allow this to cook for a few minutes. I like my vegetables from the stir fry to be crunchy, so I just cook them just pretty much for a few minutes so they can just take in some of the heat and warm up. But for this stir fry, I don't really add any water or anything to steam it because I like my vegetables to be crunchy. So now I'm just going to add the sauce that we made earlier and just drizzle that over the vegetables and just fold it in with the vegetables and just continue to cook for just a few minutes. So now I'm just going to add the beef that we seared earlier, and I'm going to fold that in with the vegetables, and that's going to take on the sauce, the flavor of the sauce, and also the seasoning from the beef is going to transfer to the vegetables as well. So they're just both going to really pair up and they complement each other. That's the word that we're trying to think of. Just going to complement each other, complement the whole recipe when you fold everything in together. And the final thing that we need to do now is to add our vegetable noodles. So I'm just going to add my vegetable noodles and just fold them in with the beef and the rest of the vegetables. Once you have folded them in, you just need a few minutes just for the vegetable noodles to heat through. And once you do that, as I always say with my recipes, you are eating it, not me. So this is the time when I recommend doing a taste test and then just adding any more seasoning or any more, a liquid aminos or anything like that. And you want to adjust it according to your taste buds, not mine, but your taste buds. So make sure you do that once you have folded in the vegetable noodles. So guys, ladies and gents, that is how you make beef and broccolini stir fry. Really simple recipe for yourself, for your family, great for weeknights. I hope you do make this recipe, and thank you so much for watching this video. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. I really will appreciate that, and I will catch you guys on the other side.